In this video, we're going to talk mainly about measure words. And some of this is a review because we did talk about measure words before, focusing on ge right here, the most basic generic measure word. I want to read a quote to you to help you kind of understand. This is a quote from All Set Learning's website. It'll be in the description below if you want to look it up. But that kind of explains the idea of measure words. So here it goes. English does actually have measure words. It's just that most nouns usually don't need them. In English, most nouns are count nouns. They specify one instance of something. An apple, for example. Some nouns are mass nouns and refer to something without specifying how much of it there is. Examples are furniture, paper, water, etc. You can't say a furniture. You need a measure word, a piece of furniture. 2 sheets of paper, 3 glasses of water, and so on. In Chinese, all nouns are mass nouns, so they all need measure words. All Set Learning. That, I think, is a very helpful way to talk about it, that this count nouns and mass nouns. In English, most nouns are count nouns, and so you just say one noun, like one apple. But in Chinese, they're all mass nouns. Whenever you say the noun, you don't know how much of the thing it is until you have a measure word. And another example of a mass noun in English is ice cream. You don't usually say one ice cream, unless you're talking about an order of ice cream in context that might make sense. But basically, you need a noun, like is it a bowl of ice cream? Is it a bucket of ice cream, a can of ice cream, whatever. Or a cone of ice cream, something like that. All right, so here, let me just kind of break down another way measure words works. Now, some measure words, within the measure word itself, has some kind of information about the noun that comes after it, or or certain kinds of nouns. Like I'm not figuring out how to say it. I'll just give you examples. It'll be a lot easier. Ge is it's one measure word, but it can be applied to many nouns. It's the most common one. There are many nouns, a lot of abstract nouns, just certain ones like apple is ge, but other kinds of fruit like banana is a different one. It's gen because of banana's shape. But anyway, the ge applies to many nouns. Bei means cup. So bei means cup. As a measure word, it's like a cup of water. Not like the measuring cup, like 2 cups versus 2 cups of flour. It's not like that. It just means a cup, like 1 cup full of water. So 一杯水 is 1 cup of water. So bei can refer to anything that can go into a cup. Anything that goes into a cup can come after that to say 1 cup of that thing. Zhang is a measure word that applies to things that have a flat surface, like a picture, 一张照片, or a bed, 一张床, or a table, 一张桌子. So that's what I'm saying is when you see 张 as a measure word being used, the noun that comes after it will be a noun that has a flat surface most of the time, or some kind of concept of flat surface. Here we have 碗, which means bowl. That's going to be a lot like cup, so 1 bowl of noodles, 一碗面. Here we have 条, which applies to long, skinny things like it could be一条 river, 河, 一条河, because rivers are long and skinny. Interestingly, pants you can have like 一条 pants. So in English you say a pair of pants because there's like 2 legs. In Chinese you say 1条 of pants because they're like long and skinny. I don't know if that's perfect, but that's what they say. This character has 2 pronunciations. One is zhi and one is zhi. Zhi means only or just. But this as a measure word is zhi and applies to most animals. Most animals are zhi, like 一只猫, meaning 1 cat. Dog, interestingly, is 条, 一条狗, but I don't know why that is. It just is. Okay, here we have another zhi that is like a pen shape. So pens are 一支笔. Then we have shuang, which is I love this character because it's 2 of these guys. This is actually called yo by itself. but when you put two of them together, it's shuang, and it means a pair. So anything that can be a pair of shoes, a pair of feet, a pair of hands, a pair of something is 一双, that thing. And then liǎng has a little ch on the left here, and then this liǎng here to indicate the pronunciation. It's liǎng, meaning it's for vehicle. So 一辆车 means one vehicle. So here you can see how one measure word can apply to different kinds of nouns, but in some cases they're nouns within a certain category. So 只 will apply to most animals. So animals follow 只. 杯 will be anything in a cup. 张 will be anything with a flat surface. 条 will be anything with a certain kind of shape. 双 will be anything that can come as a pair. So does that make sense? One measure word can apply to many different nouns, but sometimes the measure word will capture a category of nouns and kind of give you some information about what follows. Now I want to point out that one noun can also be counted by different measure words, essentially measured in different ways. Let's take the noun 饺子, which means dumpling, like a Chinese dumpling that you eat. We can have 一个饺子, so that's one dumpling. How many dumplings do you want? 我要5个饺子. I want 5. We can also have 一笼饺子. That is, the 笼 is it refers to a steaming basket. Like in China, they have these, they have these like kind of plates that are steaming baskets, and then they can stack them on top of each other, and the steam comes up through and cooks things. So that thing, that little basket level thing, one of those things is called long, and so you can have a 一笼饺子. How many dumplings? The dumplings that go in one long, and you can have 一桶饺子. 桶 it means bucket, so you can have a bucket of dumplings. So you have the same noun but be counted in different ways, and this is where you can get in trouble if you always use 个 and not the correct measure word. Sometimes if you want to say 一个照片, one picture, and instead of 张, you'll get away with it. It won't sound like perfect Chinese, but it's totally understandable, and even Chinese people do that sometimes. They use 个 instead of the correct measure word. But if you want to buy a long of 饺子, but you don't know the measure word long, and instead you say 个, that would be confusing because you might end up buying one 饺子rather than like a serving size or something. So there you go. That's how measure words work. I hope that's helpful for you and clears things up for you. In this section, we're going to talk about the difference between 二 and liǎng. Now, unfortunately, Chinese has two words for the number 2. We have 二 and liǎng. And the most basic difference, if you remember this one thing, you're going to be right most of the time, is that 二 refers to the number 2, the digit 2, where liǎng refers to is used with a measure word. Like when you're counting something, I want 2 apples. I need 2 months to complete this project. Anything like that. So when you have 2 of something, then you use liǎng before a measure word. And if you're just talking about the number 2, like let's count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. In that sense, you use 二. So when you're referring to the digit 二, you say 二. When the digit 2. You also use 二 in ordinal numbers. Now, what are ordinal numbers? Good question. That's actually our next video is going to talk about that. Ordinal numbers are numbers like when you say the first, the second, the fourth, the 25th. That's an ordinal number. And so when you're talking about the second, like the second day, 第二天 would be the second day. We talk about in the next video exactly how to make those. And then I also wanted to point out that liǎng can only ever be used when you're actually talking about 2, not when you're talking about the 2 being part of a bigger number. Like let's say 22, the number 22, it's 22. It's always 22. It's never liǎng, liǎng, or anything like that. It's always 22. Now, however, with some larger numbers like 100, 1,000, that kind of thing, then liǎng can be used sometimes, and so that's a little bit of exception to what I'm saying. I'm not sure exactly why, so I'd have to research that. But basically, when the 2 is at the end of a large number, it's always R. Like if it's 122, 122. And usually if it's 20s, then it's always R. But then when we get into 200s and 2000, then it can be we can use liǎng. Okay, now over to liǎng. Liǎng always comes when you're talking about two of a measure word. And I also wanted to make a little point here to say that it's used before measure words that don't look like measure words. What do I mean? So 2天, this means 2 days. Now, I guess in a way, in a backwards way, this point is actually more to do about how 天 works than liǎng, because you're still counting something. So if you're following the idea that it's before measure words, or that's before counting things, then you would still kind of intuitively know it's liǎng. But 2天, 天 is actually a measure word, even though it sounds like a noun. So like it's kind of like saying 2 days of time, where day is the measure word and time is the noun, but you don't actually say time, you just say 2 days. And here we have 2点, which means 2 o'clock, so 2 points. But 点 is the measure word. It's like, again, it's kind of like 2 points of time. And then we have 2年, which means 2 years. Again, 年 is a measure word talking about 2 years of time. And so I'm just pointing out there that these measure words don't necessarily look like measure words, but liǎng definitely goes before them. And also you're counting them just like you would with a normal measure word, and so I guess you could figure that out as well that way. But here we go. There's our side-by-side comparison of R and liǎng and how to know the difference. Hope your study is going well, and I hope you feel encouraged. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.